Loved one owns a gun, and you're concerned about their behavior. You're worried they might harm themselves or others. You wish more than anything you could hit pause on this situation. In Illinois, a firearm restraining order does just that. In extreme cases, this order temporarily prevents a person in crisis from having a firearm, giving them time to heal before they do something dangerous. Learn more at illinois.gov/pause to heal. Brought to you by the Illinois Department of Public Health, Brady and the Ad Council.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Thursday morning, political fighters. Welcome to the June 25th. Man, we're getting to the end of the month, Henry. 2026 edition of Choose Views. I'm not rushing it. Don't get me wrong when I say that. I'm just, you pause sometimes. You go, wow. 773-763-9278 is our number. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. Email me at richard@WCPT820.com. And follow me on all the socials under Choose Views. We've been reposting our shows so that we make sure that people who miss it, you can go there and catch it by going to my socials under Choose Views. And the show's there. So we're making a practice of doing that so that you guys can follow me as well as be able to follow the show if you happen to miss it. Catch all of our shows by subscribing to our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews, Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, It's the Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath, Out Chicago, and our other great shows and interviews. Also in the evenings, make sure to catch the Politics Bar, the Matt McNeil Show, and the Gailey Show, and make your way over to heartlandsignal.com. Before I read a couple of things that you guys should check out at Heartland, I'm pretty sure that, well, I know I'm going to be. Scott and Ellen will be there more than likely, and Patty will be there, and I believe Joan will be at the on our float, the Pride Parade. And I haven't. I know you guys have heard the promo, but I haven't spoken about it. It's a busy weekend for CPT. As you guys know, I'm going to be moderating the Ida B. Wells, one of the events at the Ida B. Wells Festival this weekend, which is a panel discussion, the long fight to gain and retain voting rights and how we refuse to go back. Dr. Anthony Douglas, Dr. Thomas Fisher of the University of Chicago, Devorah Crable, and Congresswoman Robin Kelly will be part of our panel discussion. But there are other events that are taking place, so go to the Ida B. Wells site, or more specifically, go to, why am I drawing a blank right now, blackmetropolis.org to sign up. It's free for all the events that are going on during the day. And, of course, the panel discussion is free as well. Sunday is a Pride Parade here in Chicago, and WCPT has been a sponsor for years, and we will have our float there. And like I said, I know that Patty will be there. I know that Scott and Ellen will be there, and I will be there. I believe Joan will be on the float, and very possibly Edwin Eisendrath. So come on out. We'll be waving and throwing and waving and throwing, and hopefully the weather holds up. And when I say the weather holds up, I'm sending this out to the universe that the weather is perfect. That if it's going to rain, it rains early in the morning, like overnight, 4 o'clock kind of rain, and then stops at 6. And then after that, then the sun kind of is a little bit of cloud cover, so that those of us sitting exposed on floats don't get completely roasted. But make sure that you're out for the Pride Parade this Sunday here in Chicago, kind of our near North neighborhood. Starts around Irving Park Road and Broadway, and makes its way down to Fullerton. So it's an annual event. and it's one of the big ones here in Chicago. So we hope to see you guys out there. So there you go. All right, Heartland Signal. Some great pieces there as always. But Senator Raphael Warnock has definitely been, he has been 10 toes on the line recently. And these are his thoughts on Donald Trump still blaming Joe Biden for the economy 18 months later, Henry. 18 months later. Americans elected him to lower costs, meaning Trump. He's been at it for 18 months. He's raised costs for everybody, shredded the safety nets and that are meant to catch people during tough times and made life more difficult for most Americans. That's one of the many comments that Senator Raphael Warnock from Georgia had to say about Donald Trump. And then Michigan Democratic gubernatorial candidate Jocelyn Benson tells the folks on 13 on Your Side that her plans for regulating data centers goes even further than those of the state house, the Democrats in the state house are asking for. She wants to ban data centers that abuse water and database resources that affect all communities in the state of Michigan. So great clip there at heartlandsignal.com. So make your way over to check that out. On today's show, in a very few minutes in the 6:30 hour, Dan Summins, who is the managing director of the Chicago chapter of Blessings in a Backpack, will be with me along with Catherine Zimmerman. She's a Blessings co-chair and vice president of Global EHS and Sustainability with the company Ingredion, a major food ingredient company right here in Illinois, Chicago metropolitan area. And then in the 7 o'clock hour, Dr. Jessica Hawk, as you guys know, retired teacher, content creator, and also known as MyTeacherFace, will be with us in the 7 o'clock hour. And then in the 7:30 hour, Ohio State Representative Dani Isaacsohn out of the Cincinnati area, who's a minority leader for the Ohio House of Representatives, will be joining us. So we have our guests lined up for today's show, just letting you know what's happening and who we're going to be talking with. So make sure you've got your notes, your notepad ready so you can jot some things down and maybe send us a question or two or a thought that we can potentially pass on to them. So speaking of questions, question of the day. It's kind of a, maybe a heartfelt, cerebral one all in one. And that is, when you hear this phrase, you hear this phrase a lot, but I wanted to ask you guys, what do you think about this? What does the idea of a, quote, better world mean to you? And what would be different from what we currently have to define it as a better world? So again, what does the idea of a better world mean to you? And what would be different to make the world better than we currently have or where we currently are? And as I said, that's kind of one of those heartfelt but also cerebral questions. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about that. Obviously, send us a text here at the text line, 773-763-9278. Give us a call. Henry's got the lines wide open. And make your way as well over to our Facebook page and let us know your thoughts there. What would it be? What would in your mind make the world better? And we hear that phrase a lot. We are pushing and fighting for a better world. What does that mean to you? I'm curious where you stand in that space. So let us know. All righty. The day is going to be chalked with a lot of different things because we know that the idiot in the White House and all of his and I've got to stop using for a goofy reason, Henry. I got to start using a different word when I describe the folks that work around Trump. So I'm going to continue. I'm going to use sycophants more often and cult members more often because I don't want to use minions. I'll tell you what. I happen to be a fan of the movies. Yes, Mike, I know I am. I just had dinner with a great friend of mine and my wife's yesterday, and we were talking about movies that we're going to see or whatever. And, you know, I want to go see the new Minions movie because I love the Minions. I think I would have, if I were a cartoon character, if I were to be in an animation movie, Mike just reeled back laughing like, oh my God, Richard's had too much coffee already. I would be a Minions character. I know I would. Me. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys real quick, throw you guys not under the bus, but throw you a little curveball. If there were a TV show that you could be a part of, like if you were a character in a TV show, that was, what would your and we were having this conversation last night, which is why it's so fresh in my brain. And then we'll go to a break. What would it be? I'll tell you what mine would be. South Park. Me and Kenny and Cartman would be rolling hard, guys. Yeah, see, Mike's nodding his head like, yeah, that's a good one, Chew. But anyhow, the idiot and, you know, chaos agent in the White House and his sycophants are at it yet again. And this just disgusting mismanagement of the reflecting pool is still, it's how is it going to go? There's no way that they can, I shouldn't say there's no way. Only way they can recover from this debacle is to flat out say what they're incapable of doing. And that is, we made a mistake here. We got it wrong. How cool would it, this is where you know that there's no leadership. It is a bunch of sycophants because, you know, this is a moment of cleanup on aisle 7. How much political capital could they regain, or just a little, just a nugget of it, if they said, guys, listen, we thought we had it right. We got this one wrong. How many people would go, okay, finally? We know it's not going to happen, but I'm just saying, what sort of political nugget would they gain if they were able to come out and say, we made a mistake on this one, we got it wrong? But it's not going to happen because they keep going further down the path of trying to cover it up and trying to make excuses. So now that would not work because they would then have to say all these people that we arrested had nothing to do with it, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go to a break. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And now, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chew. We'll be right back.
Save big money on your big project at Menards. For over 65 years, Menards has been the destination for post-frame buildings. They go up fast and are a durable, low-maintenance solution for extra storage, more workspace, and to protect your equipment. Get a free estimate on the building of your dreams with our Design and Buy program in-store or on Menards.com. Plus, check out our weekly flyer for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
Party at your place this summer? Fix things up inside and out with July 4th deals, now at Lowe's. Get up to 45% off select major appliances and save up to an additional 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Plus, save $80 on the select Charbroil Performance Series gas grill, now $299. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8 while supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When you get a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, things get real.
And nobody understands that better than the Parkinson's Foundation. We provide resources and support because there are things you can do to improve your quality of life. So, whether you're newly diagnosed, have been living with Parkinson's, or caring for a loved one,
find real answers at the Parkinson's Foundation.
Go to parkinson.org or call our helpline at 1-800-4PD-INFO.
Because facts matter. You're listening to WCPT 820.
guys, welcome back to Choose Views. If you're just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu, and we got a couple of quick Choose Views news items for you this June 25th, 2026. Oil dip below $75 for the first time since the start of the war, which tells you that the war was not necessary for all the costs. And I'm putting together some numbers that kind of break that down. But Brent crude dropped below $75 a barrel yesterday for the first time since the beginning of the war, as ship owners grow more optimistic that a potential peace deal will reopen the vital Strait of Hormuz, according to Bloomberg. The International Maritime Organization, shipping's global regulators, said it had received safety guarantees for hundreds of ships to exit the Persian Gulf. Oil prices have fallen about 40% from their highs during the conflict, and U.S. diesel prices dropped below $5 a gallon for the first time since March. Volatility in AI trade raises concerns of a market rout. Growing concerns about sustainability of the AI-fueled stock market rally are heightening expectations of increased volatility, with traders preparing for what Bloomberg calls a roller coaster ride this summer. Despite a positive long-term outlook for AI, current market conditions are complicated by high leverage in exchange-traded funds and a significant price fluctuations in semiconductor stocks. The market is starting to evoke memories of the dot-com boom's waning days, if you guys remember, when elevated valuations coincided with unusually large daily moves, according to one analyst at Goldman Sachs. Slate Auto is betting on a $25 electric pickup as rivals struggle. On Wednesday, they opened pre-orders for its upcoming electric pickup. Pricing starts at around $24,900, and a subcompact two-seater promises about 205 miles of driving range and a towing capacity of up to 2,000 pounds. It comes during a challenging time for the electric vehicle market. Both Rivian Automotive and Lucid Motors have announced layoffs in recent months, reporting billions of dollars in yearly losses. And last but not least, housing bills passed by Congress is stalling at the White House. What else is new? A signing ceremony for the bipartisan bill targeting housing affordability has been canceled. The bill aimed at lowering homebuyer costs and restricting institutional investors passed the House and Senate. But that dude, Donald Trump, declined to sign it into law yesterday. Under the legislation, corporate buyers would be limited to buying 350 units. Another important component would streamline manufactured home production, potentially helping to address the supply concern. The Bipartisan Policy Center's Twigler Center on Housing Policy also says it's highly consequential, this piece of legislation, and we must get it through. So there you go, guys. A couple of quick Choose Views news items on this Thursday, June 25th, 2026. All right. Later today, you guys make sure you're tuning in to Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive. She'll be talking to Christopher Armitage, veteran, former law enforcement officer. Heartland Signal's Rich Eberwine with 3 stories you might have missed from our digital newsroom. And Anusha Thadakora, executive director of Citizens Action Illinois. Had a chance to meet her and talk with her a week ago, Monday, in Detroit at the Fair Tax Forum. She was one of the panelists that I had a chance to chat with. That's live, local, and progressive, weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, AM 820 and heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. Tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by guest co-host Peter Sorellis and Warren Price of Source Solar, and their guests are Reed McCullum, as well as Mike Biedenbaugh, the Navy veteran and historic preservationist. 6 o'clock in the morning. Tomorrow on Choose Views, historian Kevin Schultz, professor at University of Illinois Chicago, will be back for another America at 250 conversation that we'll be having this week. We'll look at religion and reform in America. Guests will be Ronnie Grinberg of University of Oklahoma, and Barbara McQuaid will be joining us. Also tomorrow, Curtis Hurdle, chair of the Michigan Democratic Party. Join me weekdays 6 to 8 a.m., as you guys know, here on WCPT, heartlandsignal.com, and tune in. And for those who like to look at pictures that are moving pictures, you can catch the video live stream on Facebook and YouTube. So make your way here and there, everywhere with WCPT and Heartland Signal. All right. I want to come back to the question for a moment. What does the idea of a better world mean, and what would be different to you? I came up with the question in part because of one of our guests that we have in a little bit that I want to. She's been a real voice, and as well as Dan Summins have both been real voices in doing things to make the world, their part of the world, their slice of it, a better place for us all. So that was kind of the foundation behind why asking this question for the question of the day was important to me. But we'll get into that when those guys are on as well. My answer to it is, let's just turn the temperature down, literally, not just when it comes to our interactions with one another, but the temperature literally of the globe. Catherine will have something to say about that because it's an area of expertise for her as a leader here in Illinois. But let's start with that. Let's just turn the temperature down a little bit. Make it easier for each of us to get along and to hang out and do stuff together. And some people might say, Richard, that's very esoteric, and you being a numbers guy, how do you put something database to that? Well, I think if you make it easier to get along with one another, if you make it less stressful, you really don't need to put numbers to that because it kind of speaks for themselves. It speaks for itself. I mean, in all honesty, we make it easier to do things, to get along, to live together, to live in this, to have a better environment by turning the environment's temperature down. Look at all the benefits that come from that, Henry. Those who run around and try to deny that the temperature is up, or the climate, or that global warming is non-existent, I tend to not hang out with them too much because I can't trust that they really are looking at things from a realistic perspective. Like, it's for real. Henry and I were just talking about this before we came on the air about the rain. The rain. The way in which it rains, and I've been around a number of years to be able to have a life to measure it. The rain, when it comes in certain parts of the United States and along the rest of the globe, it's just more intense. Mm-hmm. It just is. And so, we could start with that. Our snowfall. I mean, sometimes we wait here in the upper Midwest for the snow to actually start to fall. And then we get pelted in mid-December where we got nothing in November. Then we get pelted in December, and it's just like, what? Mm-hmm. So let's turn the temperature down a little bit. But one of the things that we have to do, I believe, to turn the temperature down is we have to talk about the issues that are in front of us, both politically, socially, and economically. We have to talk about the things that are real. We have to talk about them from a standpoint of acknowledging that they exist, and then coming up with ways that solve them, that impact everyone in the most positive way possible. That's not an esoteric pie in the sky way of looking at where we are in terms of how do we make this a better world. It requires that we're honest with each other about the things that are actually going on. We don't have to, the solutions sometimes are going to be different. We know that. And whether it's a political approach or a social or economic approach, they may be slightly different, but acknowledging that they exist is where we start, in my opinion. So I have a couple of quick, let me see if I can read a couple of quick responses that we got. Let's see. A world free of hate, in my opinion, would make the world better. That's coming from one of our listeners here in the Chicagoland area. That's a way of turning the temperature down. Let's see what else we got. So a couple others are saying versions of that, turning the temperature down, a free world, a world free of hate. That's certainly one of those areas of temperature adjustment, if you will. All right. So as we work our way through the question of the day, I want to hear from you guys. You can send us a text or you can give us a call. We'll try to get your comments on. But by all means, go to our Facebook page and let us know what you think, what you're thinking in that space. Let's take a quick break. We've got two wonderful guests coming up in a bit. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. When we come back, we're talking with Dan Summins, the managing director of the Chicago chapter of Blessings in a Backpack, and Catherine Zimmerman, who's also going to be hanging out with us. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
The secret is out. With millions of younger-looking customers across the country, Plexiderm is one of the most highly sought-after products on the market. It visibly shrinks under eye bags and smooths out crow's feet in minutes, and the effects last up to 10 hours. Influencers love it, magazines feature it, and people just can't get enough of it. As a matter of fact, Elle Magazine gave it an Editor's Choice Award as Best Instant Wrinkle Filler for 2025. In as little as 10 minutes, Plexiderm reduces the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and those dreaded under-eye bags. So yes, you can look years younger in minutes, and the effects last for hours. No surgery, no gimmicks, just results. The best news, you can try Plexiderm for only $14.95. Plus, get free shipping. Call 1-800-598-6439. That's 1-800-598-6439. Or visit plexiderm.com/trial. Paid for by Sheer Science.
Hi, I'm Kevin Love. Sony Pictures Animation's film GOAT is out now, and we've created something special to go with it. Inspired by the film, GOAT Beyond the Game is a free curriculum that gives kids creative ways to support their emotional well-being. Designed to help kids build their confidence, stay focused, and navigate their emotions, the program brings the film's core themes into the classroom through fun activities. These are evidence-based tools that actually work and will help kids discover they have the power to change the game. Visit kevinlovefund.org and download it today for your classroom or family.
Everyone needs to take care of their mental health, even running back Bijan Robinson.
When I'm on the field and feeling the pressure, I usually just take a deep breath. When I'm just breathing and seeing what's in front of me, everything just slows down. It just makes me feel great before I run the play.
Just like Bijan, we all need a strong mental game on and off the field. Make a game plan for your mental health at loveyourmindplaybook.org.
Love your mind.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Find rebates and discounts on energy-efficient products at ComEd.com/home savings.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, some patchy fog to start. Otherwise, we'll see a blend of clouds and sunshine with high temperatures in the upper 70s. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 59. For your Friday, cloud cover, chance for some afternoon showers with lower 70s for high temperatures. Then looking to stay dry for your Saturday, at least some partial sun into the upper 70s. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Currently, it's 63.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's Progressive Talk from TuneIn.
All right, guys, welcome back to Chu's Views. If you are just tuning in, I'm Richard Chu. Thanks for being with us this morning. I talk about this all the time. It's one of the comments I make about our great leaders that we have politically, obviously, but we also have some really, really important leaders, great leaders when it comes to social activities, taking care of people, making sure that we take care of each other, we take care of our environment. And the managing director of Blessings in a Backpack, who has been with us before, Dan Summins, has really been one of the great, strong leaders here in Chicago, the Chicagoland area, and frankly, the upper Midwest when it comes to the organization and how they've been making sure, I'll just make it plain, making sure that kids get food on the weekends, making sure that it's distributed in an effective way and in a way that is taken care of. 78% of the kids feel cared for by their community. 71% of the kids feel that Blessings is helping their family. 60% of the kids have fewer behavioral issues. 60% of the children report that their school attendance is better. And 59% find it easier to learn at school. Talk about making the world a better place. Good morning, Dan, and welcome back to the show.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for having us.
As always, and along with him, his morning road dog, I should say, in this morning's segment, is Catherine Zimmerman, who's the Blessings co-chair and vice president of Global EHS and Sustainability for Ingredion, which is one of the major food ingredient companies here in the Midwest, if not the rest of the country. Good morning, Catherine. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. Happy to be here.
Glad you guys are with us this morning. I always like to read the statistics of what's happening with Blessings and what the impact has been ongoing and what will probably be a big part of the future. Dan has been a great leader in the organization. I know how humble he is when it comes to this and how much he includes the people that are part of the process, the co-chairs of the organization like you, Catherine, as well as all the people that are part of the team, which I've been blessed to be able to meet. But you guys are in, I'll call it summer session, Dan. Talk a little bit about some of the activities that are going on right now and what you are kind of, I'm sure, getting ramped up for as we get through the summer.
Well, thanks, Richard. The truth is the work never ends for Blessings. We talk a lot about our school relationships and school programs, but the reality is we're feeding kids all summer long. We're working with 10 different summer school programs, 5 different Boys and Girls Clubs, 2 different Chicago Housing Authority groups, and then food pantries and summer camps. So during the school year, we feed about 6,400 kids every Friday. The school year, during the summer, we're feeding about 3,000. So truly the work it never ends. We try to make sure that we are providing food for kids. Sometimes the same kids we feed during the school year, sometimes not. But we want to make sure that every child that we can reach out to is going to have enough to eat and fill that 65-hour gap from the lunch they're going to get at school or at their program so they come back Monday morning.
You know, the 59% that say that makes it easier to learn, that of all the statistics and data points that are out there on Blessings, that's the one that kind of impacts me the most. And what I mean by that is when neither of the three of us are teachers in the classroom, but we've all been students and we all work hard to try to learn. When we try to learn something new, whatever it might be, as adults, as grown folks, it's a little easier when you're not hungry or, you know how it is. We're reading or studying something or Catherine, you preparing for a big meeting. You prepare a little bit more effectively when you are when you've got some sustenance in your belly. Is that a fair statement, Catherine?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I think education is really important for people to live out their best life and to have their greatest potential. And if you don't have the basic building blocks to have a good education, like being attentive and being interested, it's really hard to learn. So with Blessings, we really strive to set our kids in our community up for success.
Yeah, that's so important. Tell us a little bit about 2 things. One, what it's like being a Blessings co-chair and also as vice president of one of the most impactful ingredient companies in the country. What those 2 roles are like and what's important to you in each of those roles?
Yeah, well, I'm really proud and happy to be part of Blessings in a Backpack. I've been with the organization for about 3 years now. And for me, the issue of food security is really important personally. It's a passion of mine. I feel like it's just a foundational element to humanity and to society that every person, especially in the United States of America, should have a full belly to be able to live up to their potential. And I'm really fortunate that intersects with the company that I work for and its values. So I work for Ingredion. We're a global manufacturer of ingredients that go into food and beverage industry. And we have a really strong focus on community impact. And it has 3 pillars. And one of those pillars is related to food security. And through Ingredion, we support Blessings in a Backpack in a number of ways. So I feel really thankful that it's an intersection of my personal passion and one of my company's values.
It's been interesting in looking at the organization, and one of the things that it's a global company in terms of its reach, its impact, and you've really kind of set the standard is a word that comes to mind with me when it comes to making sure that sustainability is not just something that you talk about, but it's a part of your strategy. Help our listeners here in Chicago and all over the country understand the importance of it being not just a talking point or pretty words in your PR material, but really part of the strategy of the organization.
Yeah, in my role, I'm really in the forefront around the environmental sustainability portion of our company. So this is looking at ways that our operation can reduce greenhouse gas, water, waste, plastics in our operation to become a more efficient and environmentally sustainable operation. But for Ingredion, our sustainability strategy is more than environment, has many different pillars, and community impact is one of them. So actually our work with Blessings in a Backpack is part of our sustainability strategy, because we view sustainability as really how do we have a lasting impact so that our communities where we operate can be successful long term and our company can be successful, a member of the community long term. And it has many elements to it.
So when we talk about the organization being a global company and its reach to so many other places outside of not only the state of Illinois, but the U.S., what are some of the areas throughout the world that you look at and say, we need to do more work? And I don't mean that in the sense that you're not doing enough, but there's so many more opportunities to take that message and apply it in those countries.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot of things that we work on in terms of, say, greenhouse gas, reducing our carbon footprint. For example, our largest plant, which is located in Bedford Park, Illinois, a couple years ago, we changed our fuel sourcing from coal to natural gas, which had a huge impact on greenhouse gas footprint. Our company needs to continue to look for opportunities to reduce its footprint through investment in energy efficiency at our operating plants, as well as water is an area of key focus of our manufacturing plants use water as part of its operation, and water is very much linked in with local community and resources. So particularly in areas that are water stressed, particularly in Mexico, for our manufacturing footprint is an area we put a lot of focus at, looking how can we more effectively recycle water in our operation.
Wow, that's fascinating. So with that change, Catherine, how did it affect employment or job opportunities? Did it give you the ability to create some new jobs or offer some new training or different training to current employees? How did that fit into the mix?
Yeah, our employees are a key part of all of our sustainability projects because it takes the ingenuity of our teams, whether it's our engineering teams or procurement teams, to make these projects come to fruition. And a lot of it is around how do we improve engagement, make Ingredion a better place to work, and for people to be proud of the work and the impact that we have in the local community. So sustainability is something that I think a lot of our employees are really proud of what we do and how we make a difference, whether the project is small or big in our company.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that so many folks are talking about when it comes to quote unquote green jobs or jobs that are fit to tackle some of the environment issues. A lot of it starts with training within companies right now, where people I think are fearful that if we move in a direction that's more sustaining to the planet, or as I said earlier, turning the temperature down and using tools to allow us to do that, that it's going to eliminate jobs. When in fact, like most forms of technology that are advancements, it can create additional jobs. And how do you look at that in the real world?
And I think often it's maybe the type of work is changing as a result of the implementing new technologies. For example, in our Thailand manufacturing plants, we have installed a number of solar installations that are both on the ground as well as floating solar. And this was completely new technology to our manufacturing plant. So we've had to learn how to install this type of equipment, how to maintain it, and a lot of other ways to ensure that it operates correctly. And it's learning new skills, but at the same time, that's good. I think what we find is our employees like to learn new things. It's challenging and creates new opportunities that then can be applied to other locations in different ways within the company.
And that ties itself back to what we said earlier about the 59% of the kids in the program, Blessings in the Backpack, feel more viable and easier to learn because, you know, they've got something in their tummies. So I think the same thing applies to grown folks when they're learning new technologies and ways to be more efficient at work. So Guys, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, I want to talk about some things that are happening with the organization, with Ingredion, and how you guys have been recognized as such a good corporate player, and some things that you, Catherine, have had an extreme impact on. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, WARR 1520 AM 103.5 FM in Warren County, North Carolina, as well as our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, talking with Dan Summins and Catherine Zimmerman, and we'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Rancidity usually means the food tastes odd, but could it be hazardous to your health? Yes, according to Dr. Eric Decker, head of the Department of Food Science at the University of Massachusetts.
Rancidity is caused by oxidation. The natural compound that protects the oil is vitamin E. And so when the oxidation starts to occur, the vitamin E gets destroyed first, and then the rancidity comes second. So when you have a rancid oil or an oil that's almost rancid, that means most of the vitamin E is going to be gone in that product. The second concern is some of these compounds that I'm talking about from the breakdown of the fatty acids have shown to have implications in things like heart disease. So it's generally very important not to consume rancid foods.
So pay close attention to use by and sell by dates on packages. And if in doubt, throw it away. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges, mental health struggles, housing obstacles, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At our foundation, we invest in solutions, so learn more about our work at bobwoodrufffoundation.org/success.
Behind every meal are the efforts of our farmers and farm workers, whose work feeds our families and powers our communities. For more than 30 years, AgSafe has supported this industry with the knowledge and resources needed to keep workers safe and thriving. We partner with agricultural employers to strengthen safety practices and provide hands-on training. Safety isn't paperwork, it's people, community, and peace of mind. Learn more about our work at agsafe.org. Sponsored by agsafe.org.
Hey Google, play WCPT.
Streaming Chicago's progressive talk from TuneIn.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. I'm Richard Chu. If you're just tuning in, that's who we are and where we are. I am talking with Dan Summins, who is the managing director of Blessings in a Backpack here in Chicago, along with Catherine Zimmerman, who is a Blessings co-chair and vice president of Global EHS and Sustainability for Ingredion here in the Midwest. So before we went to the break, one of the things that popped into my mind, Catherine, is looking at leadership. I'm always talking, when I've talked with corporate executives and corporate partners, as well as folks who are elected to political office, I end up talking about leadership and what makes up good leadership. For you, you've made it clear that in your work that safety is a really big part. It's a passion of yours when it comes to not only the organization but the industry at large. Talk a little bit about why that's such a core part of your leadership with Ingredion.
Yeah, safety is one of the key areas of focus. Ingredion has 5 values, and one of those values is care first. And embedded within our care first value is related to responsibility for safety, environmental compliance, sustainability, product safety or quality. And for our company, safety is critical because at the heart of safety is people. We strive for every person that comes into our facility, whether it's a manufacturing plant, a laboratory, an office, to be able to go home at the end of the day in the same way that they arrived in the facility, and in a safe environment. Nothing has happened to them. Because it's really important that people are able to bring their best selves to the company and go home and enjoy their friends or family at the end of the day. It's really hard work. In what we do, there's risks in every environment that we operate. And so culture is critical to ensuring that we have the right processes and procedures and culture to care for each other and ensure that we meet that aspiration.
Yeah, and it's interesting because what that's kind of led to is that the organization has been recognized by various awards that speak to that. And one that I found really not interesting, but certainly right in line with the mission of the company is where you stand when it comes to things like gender equality and equity in that space, as well as the sustainability acknowledgments that you guys have had. Safety is a key element. It's a big part of your mission, but it's beyond just the literal work. But you want the safety to also reach into how people interact, from things that they do in and around any of your facilities. So that's always great to see how you can merge the two together and make sure that the people that are there are able to come to work and, like you said, go home the way that they got there. So profitable. I mean, this is where I think a lot of folks are trying to find their way, and that is how organizations can be profitable, good on social issues, and good on environmental issues, and being a good environmental citizen. How do you, when you sit back and think about that with Ingredion, how do you integrate all of that? Because you guys have been noted for, you've received awards in that space. How does that happen in today's environment?
I think it's a matter of defining your strategy and your goals, and then what are the actions needed to support that and prioritizing those actions. So, for example, in sustainability, environmental sustainability in particular, our teams are able to generate a lot of innovative ideas of what we could do to reduce energy, reduce plastics, reduce water. But some of them are more efficient projects than others and have a better financial return than others. So we're constantly looking at how do we prioritize the activities that are going to be ideally a win-win, win financially and win for the environment and win for the company and the community that we operate, so that we can become more sustainable. So that is kind of the challenge that we always have to live up to, is finding those win-win opportunities within our business.
Talk about one of your, I guess you could say, folks that you've appreciated in terms of her leadership or her voice, and that's Maya Angelou.
Yes. So I have one of her quotes on my desk, and it's all about change, right? If you can't change it, you need to deal with the situation that you're in. I don't have the exact quote because I'm not sitting in my office today, but I use it often for sustainability, because sustainability is a lot around influence and trying to drive change, and you can't always get every single idea over the finish line, but rather you need to try to influence people and influence the way that they think. And sometimes you're successful, and sometimes you need to pivot to be able to do that. So, and not view it as a roadblock, but try to find a different path to achieve your goal.
And you talk about it from the position of courage, and oftentimes in corporate culture, one is fighting headwinds that prevent you from exactly what you said, going at something directly. So you've got to find ways to literally navigate around the headwinds to get to still get the thing done. And I got to believe that in an environment where we are talking about protecting our environment, saving our environment, enhancing our environment, there are often times where it does take what Ms. Angelou said, and that's courage to fight for the ideas that you believe in. And you definitely, the organization has represented that as a company, let alone the culture inside being made up of people that allow you to get that done. It takes leadership. You definitely have represented that. So it's great to see, Catherine. It's great to see. I thought you didn't know I knew about your belief or your following of Miss Angelou. How about that? But
yeah, you surprised me. I have it sitting on my desk. I need to commit it to memory. But I'm learning from this conversation.
That's your homework assignment now, since we're talking about education. That's your homework assignment. You got to repeat that 10 times a day till you got that one on lockdown.
I'm a lifelong learner, so I accept that challenge.
That's good. It's been great to have you guys on. I want to ask you one last question, Catherine, before we wrap up, and then kind of hand the baton back to Dan. What is it that, if you were to say there's one thing, and I know there's more, but if there were a thing that pops into your mind when you think about all that you do, your integration with Blessings, your work there, your social responsibility, what would you say is the thing that makes you different from other companies that might be in this space or parallel to the space that you're in? What is it that makes Ingredion different, makes you special, and helps you get the job done?
Yeah, I think it's really living by our purpose. I won't talk about our product portfolio. I think what really drives the company is the people, and how we work together, how we're purpose driven. A lot of why I enjoy my role is I feel like I can make a difference in people's lives every single day, whether it is somebody walking into one of our manufacturing plants and doing maintenance work on equipment, or if it's somebody in a warehouse shipping pallets out to some of our customers, or if it's talking about how do we have a better impact on our community to make life better for the schools that operate by our manufacturing plants. I feel like a lot of what I do is driven by purpose, and this is why I've been with Ingredion for so many years. Yeah, that's exciting to hear, and thank you for that. Catherine, it's been great having you on this morning, and I really appreciate how you've kind of give us a peek into the inner workings of a major organization that does something to kind of help keep the temperature down, as I said earlier, in terms of what we can do to make the world a little bit better place to be right now. So thank you for not only being with us, but thank you for the hard work that you do. Dan, you know how I feel and how many of our listeners all over the country feel about the work that you do at Blessings. What can you send us off with? What are some of your final thoughts this morning in terms of your relationship with Catherine and some of the things that you're going to be doing over these next few weeks with Blessings?
Well, thanks. You know, Catherine brought up a great point. I have my role. There are over 5,000 volunteers, including Catherine and an amazing board of advisory board. We have a young professional board, our associate board. So many people working so hard to feed kids on weekends. I have the luxury, and I'm humbled to be able to be kind of the spokesperson and represent those 5,000 people who probably have given, 25,000 hours of their time over the course of the last school year to feed kids. I really just want to say thank you to each and every one of them. Make sure that they know that their efforts are really paying off. Blessings kids are doing better. They are well fed, they're well taken care of, and they feel loved and cared for by their community. Yeah, that's important. So that's really, it's all too often not the case. And, they don't feel loved. And, every time we do a packing event, and we've been to Ingredion many times, they've packed thousands of bags to feed kids in their local community. We put a note. Every employee puts a personal note in that bag. So when that child opens it, there's a real note from a real person that says, hey, I care, I'm invested in your future, and we want to see the very best for you. So on behalf, I want to just say thank you to all of the thousands of people who make Blessings here in the Chicago chapter a reality. How can folks find you, Dan? How can they get involved? How can they send in whatever they can send in to help the organization? How do they do that? Thank you. We're going to go to www.chicago.blessingsinthebackpack.org. So we are donations. You can look for volunteer opportunities and or help us get involved in your community. Absolutely. Dan Summins, who is the managing director of Blessings in the Backpack Chicago chapter, and I'll call her his road dog this morning, Catherine Zimmerman, who is the Blessings co-chair and vice president of Global EHS and Sustainability for Ingredion. Thank you both for being with us this morning. I know our listeners all over the country are better informed as to what you guys do and why you guys do it. So thanks for being with us this morning. Thanks for having us, Richard. All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a great day, guys. Talk to you soon. All right, folks, let's take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. Why would you not be out there? AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. Yes, I'm Richard Chu. When we come back, we'll be talking with none other than MyTeacherFace, also known as Dr. Jessica Hawk. See, I flipped that around a little bit. We'll be right back.
Latinos have been here always, before, during, and after the founding of the United States. We are small business owners rising before dawn to power the economy, hands that pick, manage, and prepare the food that nourishes America. Builders of our homes, our cities, our roads, our communities, workers who labor daily to strengthen the very fabric of our nation. We are caregivers, teachers, doctors, engineers, neighbors, families raising the next generation. Latinos contribute over $4 trillion to America's GDP, bringing promise, innovation, and vitality to every corner of the U.S. We are the backbone, an indelible part of the American story. We are America. America is us. Learn more by going to americaisus.org and discover how Latinos have shaped America's journey and continue to forge its future.
Giving your liver a spring cleaning's easy with Active Liver from New Nordic. Search for Active Liver by New Nordic on Amazon, CVS, Wegmans, or GNC.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. Authorities in Venezuela are moving rescue teams from other parts of the country to La Guaira after a pair of earthquakes struck the country yesterday. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez says at least 164 people have died and nearly 1,000 injured. The 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes damaged the country's main airport, and buildings were evacuated in places as far away as Brazil's Amazon. Speaking from Bahrain, Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. will be deploying search and rescue teams to Venezuela.
Other countries are responding as well. The Qataris have already offered assistance, as we spoke to them earlier today as well. El Salvador has stepped up, and multiple countries around the region, including Chile and others, have reached out to us to communicate and get that happening.
Senate Republicans who were berated by President Trump over opposition to his war in Iran held a late-night vote rejecting a war powers resolution a day after a similar measure passed. Meanwhile, an oil tanker has made its way out of the Strait of Hormuz despite threats from Iran's Revolutionary Guard. AP correspondent Karen Shamas has more.
A Liberian oil tanker has navigated the Strait of Hormuz using a new route close to Oman's shores. The route has been promoted by Oman and a UN maritime agency. The development on Thursday comes amid threats from Iran's Revolutionary Guard against vessels traversing the key strait. Tensions between Iran and the United States are rising over disagreements between the two countries on their interim accord aimed at ending the US and Israeli war with Iran. The US and Iran have agreed to a 60-day period to resolve issues related to the deal. Meanwhile, Israel launched another airstrike on southern Lebanon on Wednesday. I'm Karen Shamas.
More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News. Olympic athletes will be getting cash grants from a new $100 million fund created by the IOC. AP correspondent Julie Walker has more.
The International Olympic Committee is committing to paying more than $100 million directly to athletes. It's creating a fund for $10,000 grants athletes can apply for after competing at the Summer or Winter Games. The cash commitment from the IOC comes after growing calls in recent years to pay prize money at the Olympic Games. That money will be available to the nearly 3,000 athletes who competed at the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Games. I'm Julie Walker.
Shiite Muslims around the world marked Ashura, a holy day symbolizing sacrifice and martyrdom that holds special significance for many this year after months of war in Iran and Lebanon. I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 8:20 a.m. WCPT Willow Springs and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, some patchy fog to start. Otherwise, we'll see a blend of clouds and sunshine with high temperatures in the upper 70s. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 59. For your Friday, cloud cover, chance for some afternoon showers with lower 70s for high temperatures. Then looking to stay dry for your Saturday, at least some partial sun into the upper 70s. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now it's 64.
You served behind the desk.
You served in combat.
You did 4 years and got out.
You were drafted.
You gave 20 years.
You gave exactly what your country needed.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran.
You are a veteran, and you deserve support.
If you're struggling with life after service, don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Brought to you by the United States Department of Veterans Affairs and the Ad Council.
Everyone needs to take care of their mental health, even running back Bijan Robinson.
When I'm on the field and feeling the pressure, I usually just take a deep breath. When I'm just breathing and seeing what's in front of me, everything just slows down. It just makes me feel great before I run the play.
Just like Bijan, we all need a strong mental game on and off the field. Make a game plan for your mental health at loveyourmindplaybook.org.
Love your mind.
Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, the Arthur M. Blank Family Foundation, and the Ad Council.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome back to Chew's Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Richard Chew, of course. This is Chew's Views, and of course our number is 773-763-9278. Give us a call. Our question of the day is, what does the idea of a better world mean to you, and what would be different? What would you do different, want to see be done differently? And you know what my answer was, is to turn the temperature down. We had a chance to talk to great folks when it comes to that with Catherine Zimmerman, with Ingredion, and how they're such good social and environmental citizens corporate-wise, and Dan Summins, the managing director of Blessings in a Backpack. Another person that's had some world travel recently and had an opportunity to sort of spread her wings, no pun intended, is I will say this respectfully, our good friend Dr. Jessica Hawk, also known as MyTeacherFace. I kind of flipped the script a little bit before we went to break. MyTeacherFace, also known as Dr. Jessica Hawk. Good morning, Doc. Welcome back to Chew's Views.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me back.
Absolutely. You have become a voice that so many of our listeners want to hear from, obviously with the content that you've created and so much of the great work that you've done in the past couple of years, but also just the very clear-minded way that you've been looking at education, that's taking and the hurdles and the wrenches that have been thrown into the gears of our educational system in the country right now. So kind of bring us up to speed on some of the content and some of the posts that you've had recently that speak to how our federal government just has no clue as to what to do and how to navigate and not disrupt our educational system right now, our educational pillars. Talk to us a little bit about what you've been posting.
And disrupt is the actual great word for it, because they cannot get rid of the Department of Education the way that it is. So the best thing for them to do is to make it ineffective by dismantling it and hamstringing it. And since this administration has come into office, they have fragmented the Department of Education, moving some parts of it to HHS, some to labor, some to interior, some to treasury, some to justice. And just this week, we got the announcement that the Office of Civil Rights is moving to the Department of Justice, and the Office of Special Education is moving to Health and Human Services. Now, I have been making videos about this since last week, and I am fighting for my life in the comments section of my Facebook post, because everybody seems to be an education scholar right now. Forget the fact that I had 32 years in education, and I have copious notes on everything that I film. Yeah, exactly. If you looked at my apartment right now, you could put red strings along everything. I have notes taped up everywhere.
So your house would look like one of those scenes from one of the detective shows where like the person is he or she is on a mission to catch the criminal, to catch the bad guy or bad gal, and they have that scene that you walk in and they've got the center subject, but then like you just described.
The red yard.
But to that end, that means that you put the work in to know what the hell you're talking about. Some of these knuckleheads, I'm just going to say it, they have no idea what the heck they are talking about, Dr. J. I mean, they just don't. And it's shameful that we've got that kind of people. And it's not even leadership. It's just folks running around pretending like they know what they're doing. Talk to us a little bit more about where you're at. I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, that's okay. And that's a great point, because I have so many friends and relatives who will read the comments and they'll say, why do you engage with these people? And I said, I don't know if I have rose-colored glasses or it's just the teacher in me. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to ignore something so erroneous that just then goes out into the ether.
Yep.
I asked them, where did you get this information? Please, I'm not being snarky. Let me know so I can look it up as well to see where the impetus for you to say this is. 9 times out of 10, radio silence. I get nothing. But every once in a while, I will get somebody to engage. And I have some wonderful fans on my Facebook page who will say, I don't always agree with you, but I know you're going to speak to my point and say your point. And even if we don't agree at the end, I have some wonderful people like that. But then recently I've gotten a spate of people who will just throw a one-liner out at me that I have heard, because I do watch both sides of news. I do read articles from both sides, and they are parroting talking points. And it drives me nuts, because one of the talking points that's coming out right now about education is, let's dismantle the Department of Education because we need to bring education back to the states. And when I did a very reasoned, researched video on how education is at the states, 90% of it, what students learn, how teachers are certified, the funding, all of that is and always has been at the states. Yeah. The federal government helps with civil rights and special education and Title I. Even when I put that there, they'll then pivot. Here's the new pivot that just came up. The new pivot is education is not in the Constitution. Richard, the way my jaw dropped. And I said, wait, what? Well, there are so many things that the federal government does that are not in the Constitution. The Constitution was built so that we could add things as society changed.
That's why they're
But now that's the talking point. Look at how quickly you came to that conclusion. So I just now have a bunch of constitutional scholars in my comment section.
Well, Dr. J, here's the thing that's so I don't know what the word's going to be. I'm just going to say compelling about how you just laid that out. And that's this. So that the shape shifting that takes place, the bending into pretzels to make the point or the statement, I don't even know if it's a point, but the statement that's made in these posts more believable is to just come up with something else that actually, and I know you pay attention to how people talk and the stream of which they talk, it actually doesn't connect and isn't congruent to the previous point that was made. So then you go, well, which one of us is lost? Because I'm lost trying to follow you. And, why should I follow a fool? And that's, Henry just gave me a big amen here in the studio. That's not that I need to be right, but it's like, why would I follow a fool? And so previous to our segment, I was talking with Dan Summins, who is the managing director of Blessings in a Backpack. What a great organization, U.S. organization. He's a chapter managing director here in Chicago. And they do something that's unique, and I know you have front seat experience with this. Let's make sure the kids have food on the weekends. They go home without a hungry belly. And you know the impact of that when you come back, when they come back to school on Monday. If kids have been sustained, sustenance-wise, any of us are easier to teach. We're better at learning. So if the states, if the Republicans, let's just call it this way, or the folks that are probably in this cult and these people that are responding to things that you say in their snarky way, really want to see our society be better and stronger, then they would say, yeah, you know what? We need to open up the coffers and help these types of organizations do a better job. But, oh, wait a minute. Maybe we should back the truck up even further, and let's make sure that those families have opportunities and that they've got a living wage and that people are paid better, et cetera. But then you get caught up in, well, but we're giving away things to these people who won't work. And yeah, you guys didn't see this. Unless you were watching on Facebook Live or you were watching on YouTube, you didn't see how Dr. J just fanned her hand like, forget that noise.
Well, that's interesting because last week I made a video about a real life situation where I had a student who was left home alone with $40 to feed himself for the whole weekend, and he didn't have a car. And I was met with people who said, well, he should have learned how to cook. And should have puts shame on that kid.
Right.
And let's talk about the fact that if the parent was abandoning him all weekend, I highly doubt that the parent had taught him how to cook, that there were the necessary utensils and implements in the house to cook. He had $40 from Friday to Monday. What ingredients is he going to buy as an 18-year-old boy where he could sustain himself for 3 meals a day on $40? And they were tone deaf to the whole argument because I learned how to cook. I could live on $40. The lack of empathy that I have seen in so many comments that just dismiss anybody else's experience is maddening.
Yeah, it definitely is. And I applaud you for something that a lot of people say, we really shouldn't do on social media or whatever, and that's to engage. I think that you do engage for two reasons, and this is me, and then we'll take a quick break. I think you engage because if you don't, then you get angrier. I think in some ways because it builds up, and I could be wrong there, but that's me. But the other reason is we're in an environment right now where a lot of things are said, whether it be about education, whether it be about feeding children, whether it be about a variety of things, that if we don't check them in the moment, then they do become what you said a moment ago, which is just some other garbage that somebody else picks up on, talking points, and it becomes a meme. And the next thing you know, somebody's going, oh, did you know that they're eating dogs and they're eating cats? Right?
And there's litter boxes in classrooms.
And there's little boxes in classrooms. And so anyhow, all right, we're going to take a quick break, Dr. J. The number is 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago and AM 950 up in Minnesota. That's the progressive voice of Minnesota. And if you happen to be down in North Carolina, you can check us out on AM 1520 and 103.5 FM with WARR in Warren County, North Carolina. I'm Richard Chu, talking to Dr. J. Yes, Dr. Jessica Hawk, also known as MyTeacherFace. And we'll be right back.
Too often, political news focuses on what's happening in Washington, D.C. But from redistricting to reproductive rights, what matters most to your life happens at the state level. And when no one's closely watching the state, bad stuff happens. That's why Heartland Signal offers Radio Free America, a free weekly newsletter from me, Aaron Kleinman. Sign up at heartlandsignal.com/newsletter. I spent 7 years helping the most successful state-level political group navigate elections across the country. Now I want to help you understand what's going on in your state. And I'll also have some funny stuff in there too, like Weird Al on Howard Stern. Because, let's face it, we could all use a laugh. So sign up for our free newsletter, Radio Free America. We never share or sell your email address, and you can unsubscribe at any time. Sign up now at heartlandsignal.com/newsletter.
We're with Bridget, whose husband won't be home for months, and whose daughter is due any day. We're with Mike, who's leaving home to protect his family and yours. We're with all service members and their families who need community, connection, and maybe a bit of magic. Are you with them? Learn more at uso.org today.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views, 773-763-9278. We are talking with Dr. Jessica Hawk, also known as MyTeacherFace, and I have affectionately given her the other label of Dr. J, my other favorite Dr. J. Dr. Hawk, okay, so you said earlier in the segment, someone said to you that education is not in the Constitution. Okay. I just got a great text from one of our listeners that says, that's correct. Neither is the Army. Do we want to get away, do we want to get away with that? Okay, you get my point.
I responded with a whole list of things that are federally funded and run that are not in the Constitution. So I don't understand that argument. But then when I looked into it a bit more, I saw that argument has been used since the Reagan era. Mm-hmm. Because he also tried to get rid of the Department of Education, which needs an act of Congress. And, they came up with an ingenious plan, diabolical, I should say, in Project 2025 to dismantle it and make it ineffective. And one of the things that's happening that really should shake people up is the fact that moving the Office of Civil Rights to the Department of Justice takes one area and scatters as they are all scattered. But there's a line in Project 2025 on page 330 that says the Department of Justice should only settle these cases through litigation. Mm-hmm. And that is a big change from the administrative model that has been used, where you have investigations and mediation and resolution. Now they're saying not only are we going to move it, but the cases should only go through litigation. Now think about this. Somebody has an issue in school, they might not be able to hire a lawyer.
Right.
This case could go on well beyond their school years. So without eliminating the Department of Education, it's things like this that will make it ineffective.
Yep. One of the things that I look at in a very, I guess, simplistic layperson's way about the Department of Education being, gutted is it's about taking away one of the tools to level the playing field. And this as an educator, 32 years of it. That is the one of the tools that levels the playing field. And I on this, week of Juneteenth and enslaved folks being told that they were no longer enslaved, a day late and a dollar short, by the way, that people who were enslaved based on laws in those states said that you were not allowed to read and write. And I'm simplifying, I'm oversimplifying it to make this quick point. Fast forward to now, that's about education. That's about learning something. There's a reason that in certain cultures, particularly in the African-American culture, you saw this firsthand. There was so much pride in the first to go to college and all the rest, because for decades, centuries actually, it was illegal. So now here we are in 2026, and we've got this document, Project 2025, that wants to kind of make education illegal again for certain people in this country. Is that an overstatement?
And that's exactly right. That's not an overstatement at all, because so much of what they are doing is going to marginalize people of color, special needs students, people who are economically disadvantaged.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the target. And it is in black and white in Project 2025. And when I first started reading the education section, which I've read 4 times, the first time reading it because I couldn't believe what I was reading, the subjective word salad, the second time so I could highlight, the third time so I can annotate, I couldn't believe that they were putting it on paper.
You and Kamala Harris were sisters in crime on that one. I mean, that they actually wrote it down.
They wrote it down. And I beg people when I post things, I am giving you the exact page numbers. You can look at the exact passage that I'm talking about. I'm not hiding anything.
No.
Tell me if you have a different interpretation. No.
She gave you the cliff notes, y'all. So don't fight her on that. You asked for an open book exam. You got it. It's right there. Page number, paragraph, highlight darn near. But some people are just hard-headed, Dr. J. They don't want to. It's not even being hard-headed. Some people just are, and I say this in the most, I don't know, positive way I can say it. But some people are so locked into their bias right now. And it has been this way. You mentioned Reagan going back to, as an educator, you saw this firsthand in terms of the destruction that he tried, in some cases did succeed at.
Right.
In terms of how he transitioned California's college systems. I mean, that has had a tremendously huge domino effect on education in California. And frankly, he tried to take that same destruction to the federal government. So a lot of this started with Reagan. People don't want to go back and talk about Uncle Ronnie and how destructive he was, but in many, many ways, Trump did not just show up with the clear path or a path that wasn't already seeded. Much of this came from what Ronald Reagan did. So, that's just me and the doc chopping it up. All right, so I got to ask you this question.
Okay.
I had another
question.
I had another question I wanted to ask you, but we'll save this for the next time around because this is it's gonna have some life to it. All right, so we get through the 2026 midterms. We change the House, and maybe, God willing, we change the Senate on a federal level. We see some things happening on a state level that are positive in terms of state legislators getting better balance. And then there comes this moment where we are electing a Democrat as president, whoever he or she may be, in 2028. And in late November of 2028, after the election, you get a phone call. And the phone call says, look, Doc, we know you've been out of the game for a minute in terms of being an educator, but I, as president, want you to be part of my cabinet, and I want you to be the head of the Department of Education. How would that hit you? We don't know that wouldn't happen, but let's say that it did. Talk to us about how that would happen, how that would make you feel, and then what would be some of the things that you'd have to deal with and put back together for us.
First, I need a Xanax. Second, I would definitely talk about reinstituting free breakfast and lunch, because we can pull kids into school and have the best programs and everything else, but if they do not have sustenance, they cannot learn. We have to up our mental health protocols. We have to make sure that technology is not being used. K to 5, I would say K to 5 at least. We have to put limits on AI use in the classroom. Our kids need knowledge before they can use technology. You can't put technology in front of kids who do not have knowledge and expect them to learn a thing. We have to stop letting special interest groups, as far as companies, come in and sell us a bill of goods that has no backing. I could go on.
Please do. We got another minute. What else would be on your list? Seriously, of things that you're like, nah, we're not doing that anymore. Or here's a thing that we're going to do. I mean, this is a wish list question, frankly, but it's a benefit to our society.
We need to elevate the profession of education because far too many people believe that we are babysitters. And every time somebody comes onto my page and they say, well, how nice for you to work 7 hours a day, 9 months out of the year. And I'm like, oh, that's hilarious, you sweet summer child. First of all, it was easily 10 hours a day. I never had 9 months of work. I usually had 10 and a half, and then had a summer job. And also, all of this is going on while we are managing individual human beings in buildings of my building of 1,500 people. Yeah. So let's give education the recognition it deserves, and teachers, let's elevate this so we recruit the best and the brightest.
There you go. She is Dr. Jessica Hawk, affectionately known as MyTeacherFace, and then Dr. J, if you're talking to Richard Chu. How can they find you, Doc, before we let you go?
They can go to YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and my username is the same on all platforms, MyTeacherFace. There
you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with us this morning. It's always a joy to have you on the show. I know our listeners appreciate when you're on, so thanks. We'll look forward to having you back in a few weeks. Sound good?
Can't wait.
All right. Talk to you soon. Have a great rest of the week. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, let's go to break. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And as I said, if you're hanging out down in North Carolina, make your way over to 1520 AM and 103.5 FM. That's WARR in Warren County. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Veteran Minute. In the heart of World War II, while the skies rumbled with the roar of combat, a groundbreaking squad of pilots emerged from the segregated South. The Tuskegee Airmen, an elite group of African-American pilots, defied the odds with their courage and skills. Trained at the Tuskegee Army Airfields in Alabama, they became the first black aviators in the U.S. military. Despite facing racism and skepticism, they soared through the skies, unmatched precision, escorting bombers and earning a distinguished reputation for their bravery. Their red-tailed P-51 Mustangs became a symbol of excellence and resilience, and in 2007, the Tuskegee Airmen were finally honored as they were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal. These aviators didn't just fight for victory in the air, they battled for equality on the ground, forever altering the landscape of the American military and inspiring generations to come. This has been a WCPT Veteran Minute.
Real talent is defined by what people can do, not where they learn to do it. So by stopping at the education section of a resume, you might throw away the perfect hire. You might miss someone who has valuable skills to offer to help your business thrive right now and in the future. Because the truth is this: Skills First Hiring helps you see talent others miss, like more than 70 million stars, skilled through alternative routes. When you let their story unfold, you gain a competitive advantage, because hiring managers who start with skills are 60% more likely to find a successful hire. See the real person, complete. See what others miss. Hire skills first. Learn why it's a competitive advantage at tearthepaperceiling.org. Brought to you by Opportunity at Work and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT Willow Springs, is powered by ComEd. Visit ComEd.com/facility assessment to learn more about energy savings.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, some patchy fog to start. Otherwise, we'll see a blend of clouds and sunshine with high temperatures in the upper 70s. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 59. For your Friday, cloud cover, chance for some afternoon showers with lower 70s for high temperatures. Then looking to stay dry for your Saturday, at least some partial sun into the upper 70s. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now it's 64.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose Views. I'm Richard Chu. Whether it be in the social services work or the volunteer work or like Blessings in a Backpack with Dan Summins, or it'd be former educators like Dr. Jessica Hawk, or the state of Ohio House of Representatives Minority Leader Dani Isaacsohn. We have people who take leadership seriously. And with us is that said minority leader of the Ohio District 24 and the Ohio representatives in the House. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Choose Views.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, how can I say this other than as a Midwest? No. It's not a hard question. It's just a comment. As a Midwesterner who loves what we do here in the Midwest, you have been one of those voices that's really, really leaned into the issues that are going on in Ohio. And you've really kind of blazed a trail and said, listen, we got a lot of things going on, but we can get some stuff done in the state. Talk about the work that you're doing right now. Talk about why things have been so important to you to kind of get Ohio, if I can say this, back on track, if you will.
I love this question. So I started in politics and campaigns in 2012 on President Obama's re-election campaign as a community organizer, field organizer in Cincinnati, my hometown. And I don't know if you remember that race, but they called Ohio and then they called the race.
They did.
For President Obama.
Yes, sir. And
I remember thinking, man, this must be what every campaign and every election is like. And and then I worked the 2014 cycle and I was doing the 2016 cycle, and I learned the hard way that is actually not how it goes. And Ohio has seen this pretty profound change since 2012, right? Since we voted for a second time for President Obama, 3 times in a row voting for President Trump. I serve in a legislature that is a supermajority Republican legislature. Now that's largely due to gerrymandering, but the reality is the state has shifted. And so for us, the challenge is, how do we turn it around? Right? And a big part of that answer is we can't just be the party of we're not them. Mm-hmm. Right? We have to articulate a vision for what it would mean for us to, have more power, and we have to be of use to the people we represent today, which means finding a way to work with the majority. Right? If I live in downtown Cincinnati, I love my neighborhood, but it's got plenty of challenges. The people in my neighborhood don't care, what the dynamics are in Columbus. They care if there's more food at the Free Store Food Bank. They care if there's more money for their local public schools. And so our job is twofold in Columbus. And this is true for Democrats, I think, in elected office everywhere. How do you get something done given the circumstances you're in, which for us means working with the majority whenever, when possible, to have an impact in your communities? And how do we do the work to bring more balance to the government through elections, right? Through campaigns. And we are trying very hard, I think pretty successfully, to do both.
Yeah. So you said it so well about the people who are right there in the community in Cincinnati, downtown Cincinnati, or wherever in the Cincinnati metropolitan area. They want to make sure that their city is doing well. And this is that, conversation that, all politics are local. What happens in Columbus is where it gets done, but right there in city council and the mayor's work and all that is ultimately where, you can have some of the most impactful impact. But I got to ask you this question. Is there room, or reality is maybe a better way of putting it, Minority Leader, to take back any of those chambers? I mean, where are we in that conversation?
So 2026 is a good year to ask that question. I'll paint the picture for you of what is happening in Ohio. So we have not elected a Democratic governor since 2006.
Yep.
Sherrod Brown lost his re-election campaign 2 years ago. And so 2024 was a bleak year in Ohio and a lot of places for Democrats, but we have come roaring back. I don't think anyone 18 months ago would have told you Ohio would be where it is today, which is Sherrod Brown is running to go back to the Senate. He is leading in the polls. He has sort of got his mojo back. He's the Sherrod Brown we all know and love.
Yep.
And Dr. Amy Acton has surprised everyone, except those who know her very well, in that she is a force to be reckoned with. She is tied or leading in almost every publicly available poll for governor in Ohio. And there is unbelievable energy and momentum around her. And everywhere she goes, and I appreciate this very much, she says, you can't just elect me governor. We have to break the supermajority too.
Yep.
Because if we cannot sustain her veto, then it weakens her ability to govern. And we saw that in North Carolina. We saw the reverse in Wisconsin.
Yep.
And so we are 6 seats away from breaking the supermajority in the House. And there are 8 districts that Sherrod Brown got a majority of the vote in 2 years ago that we did not.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's very clearly 8 districts that a Democrat can win in, even won a majority of the votes in a hard year 2 years ago. So we have a path to break the supermajority. And when we do, Dr. Acton will be able to govern. And that trifecta sort of puts Ohio on a totally different trajectory than we've been for the last 20 years.
And the importance of how you just broke, and first of all, thank you, Minority Leader, for breaking it down that way. What popped into my mind is Dr. Hawk, who was on with us before, would appreciate the civics lesson you just gave in terms of how we actually govern effectively, because you just walked us through, excuse me, guys, you just walked us through how if you don't have certain things in place or a path to get them in place, you end up being stuck in a position where you're paddling with one oar. You're just going around and around and around. And if we are so blessed, and I say we because I look at all of our states now, we're connected like never before. So what happens in Ohio affects us here in Illinois. It's just, that's the way that it is. What happens in Illinois affects you guys in Ohio. I believe that. But if we win in Ohio and we get her, Dr. Acton, as governor, she needs to have the tools to get things done that the state legislature is trying to put forward. She needs to be in a position to affect what comes at her from a federal level. And so this is why how you broke that down, Minority Leader, is so important, is to understand it's not just electing that one person. It's the other parts of the legislature that will allow her to operate effectively, which then ultimately allows our great ideas as Democrats to get things done for all people in the state of Ohio. Is that a fair way of putting it?
Absolutely. I mean, the best example of this is North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right. And it's clear as day. Roy Cooper faced a supermajority in the North Carolina legislature. And for years, they blocked everything he tried to do, forced bad legislation down their throat. And then the year they broke the supermajority, they extended Medicaid access and healthcare coverage for 1 in 10 adults in North Carolina. That was the difference.
Yep.
Between that, and it was a 1 vote difference, right? You know, between the supermajority and not being able to sustain that veto. And so what we talk about all the time in the legislature is we are not 30 votes away from having a profound impact. We are often 1, 2, 3 votes away. You know, 2 years ago, and I use this example all the time in the budget, we were 3 votes shy of free breakfast and lunch for every kid in Ohio. Universal free breakfast and lunch, 3 votes shy in committee. That year we had lost 3 elections by less than 1,000 votes.
1,000 votes in total or per election?
Per election.
Okay.
But an election that you lose by 800 votes, that's a door knocking margin. That's a fundraising margin, right? Like that is. And so I think people in states like Ohio, you know, I'm sure it's the same in Tennessee and Texas and Florida. They think, oh, the margin is so big, you know, they've gerrymandered us into oblivion. No, because of effective legislators, we have coalitions with the rural legislators who represent public schools that they can't turn their back on, right? We have relationships across the aisle that we can build these coalitions. We're often just a couple votes shy. And we were 3 votes shy in committee of that full universal breakfast and lunch. Now, don't get me wrong. We still fought to make sure that every kid on reduced price lunch got their lunch and breakfast for free. That's 70,000 hungry kids we were feeding a day. And when I go out and recruit candidates, what I tell them is, find me a job where when you lose a fight, you feed 70,000 hungry kids a day.
Yeah.
But what I tell people in the community is, we got to get those other 3 votes. We got to win these seats.
Yeah. I mean, you got the work done, or I'm going to put it this way: the fight was still on the whiteboard. The goal was still on the whiteboard, and you continued to move forward to still get what you could get, given the numbers were not in your advantage or to your favor. And that's leadership. That's just, you can't call it anything else. In my opinion, that's just leadership. So kudos to you for that. Minority Leader, we're going to take a little bit of a break. And when we come back, I want to talk to you about, we talked about flipping the majority, but let's talk a little bit about what's going on a larger level in terms of the federal impact on the state and what you see as some of the opportunities for Ohioans to move forward. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And speaking of North Carolina, our folks down in Warren County, North Carolina on 1520 AM and WARR's 103.5 FM. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking with Dani Isaacsohn, who is the Ohio Representative's Minority Leader, and we'll be right back.
Check up on health with Chris Whitting.
Rancidity usually means the food tastes odd, but could it be hazardous to your health? Yes, according to Dr. Eric Decker, head of the Department of Food Science at the University of Massachusetts.
Rancidity is caused by oxidation. The natural compound that protects the oil is vitamin E. And so when the oxidation starts to occur, the vitamin E gets destroyed first, and then the rancidity comes second. So when you have a rancid oil or an oil that's almost rancid, that means most of the vitamin E is going to be gone in that product. The second concern is some of these compounds that I'm talking about from the breakdown of the fatty acids have shown to have implications in things like heart disease. So it's generally very important not to consume rancid foods.
So pay close attention to use by and sell by dates on packages. And if in doubt, throw it away. With Checkup on Health, I'm Chris Whitting.
When you get a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, things get real.
And nobody understands that better than the Parkinson's Foundation. All across the country, we provide resources and support in the fight against Parkinson's, a neurological disease that affects movement.
The Parkinson's Foundation is dedicated to improving care and advancing research towards a cure.
And when you call our helpline, you'll speak to a real person who can help you find the right information. Because while living with Parkinson's can be challenging, there are things you can do to improve your quality of life. So, whether you're newly diagnosed, have been living with Parkinson's for years, or caring for a loved one,
when Parkinson's gets real, find real answers at the Parkinson's Foundation.
Go to parkinson.org or call our helpline at 1-800-4PD-INFO, 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
All right, guys, welcome back to Choose You. 773-763-9278 is the number you can send us for text. We had a question earlier about what does the idea of a better world mean to you, and what would be different in your better world? So still send us your text and your answer to that question, and go to our Facebook page to leave us your thoughts there. I am talking with Ohio State Rep. Dani Isaacsohn of Cincinnati, Minority Leader of the Ohio House of Representatives. Minority Leader, let me ask you this question. You got a very competitive governor's race, and we, even here in Illinois, and I'm sure people across the country, do not want to see the Republican candidate win that seat, because it'll just continue to push Ohio backwards, and candidly, the Midwest, if not other parts of the country, in Vivek Ramaswamy. Dr. Amy Acton she's a real player in this race, and what are we going to do? What do we need to do to help get her across the finish line to win this race?
I think, frankly, Dr. Acton is leading the charge pretty effectively. I mean, she is everywhere. The one thing we have to ask of every candidate is they better be putting in the work, and they can't be making stupid mistakes. And Dr. Acton, on both fronts, she has been everywhere. She's been campaigning for 2 years in every part of the state. And, I've met a lot of elected officials. I'm a big fan of your governor. This is no shade to anyone else. I think Dr. Acton is the single kindest person I have met in politics. And we could use a little more of that at the moment. And it's quite a stark contrast to her opponent, who made his billions by promising people medicine that didn't work. And so, like, we have a real contrast in this election. Dr. Acton has an incredibly compelling personal story. She knows what it means to struggle. She's struggled with homelessness as a child, as a kid, growing up in Youngstown, through the kindness of others, was in her own both courage and sort of energy. She put herself through medical school, became a doctor, and then focused on public health, has worked for 5 governors, has made clear that in her cabinet, she'll have Democrats, Republicans, whoever she needs to have. During COVID, she was the lead under a Republican governor, and the state looked to her for guidance. Right? She is someone who, she really means it when she says, "I don't care where the idea comes from. I care if it helps people. I care about solving problems." And we haven't had an elected governor like that in Ohio in a very long time. And for almost 20 years, we've been like a rock tied to our feet, sinking in every ranking you can think of. When I graduated from public schools in 2007, right, we were ranked 5th in the country just the year before.
Wow.
We're now in the mid to high 30s out of 50, right, for public education. So Dr. Acton gets it. She's putting in the work. She has the real energy and momentum behind her, and she needs support, including from our friends out in Illinois.
Well, trust me, we are going to continue to be there for her as well as for you in breaking this supermajority. Speaking of governors, you guys have really been pushing your current governor, Mike DeWine, to get his head right on data centers. Talk a little bit about how what that fight looks like there in Ohio when it comes to data centers.
Well, let me set the context a little bit, because some of this stuff, like, you can't believe it until you hear about it. I wouldn't have believed it if you had told me 2 months ago. But 2 things happened just in the last month. One, the Department of Taxation revised their estimate that the tax exemption that we had was they told us it would cost $130 million a year. They made a mistake. They revised it. It's actually closer to 1.7, 1.8 billion.
Wow.
I don't know about you. Have you made too many $1.5 billion mistakes?
Not that I would tell in public.
And so we relied on those numbers, right? And so the question I had is, who has resigned? Who has taken responsibility for that? But actually, that pales in comparison to what we found out just a few weeks ago, which is that the 3 largest data center builders, Meta, Amazon, and Google, in 2014 and 2013 signed 40-year contracts with the state of Ohio under the previous governor for a 100% sales tax exemption on all new data centers.
Wow.
So they represent 76% of all data centers in Ohio, and they have a 100% sales tax exemption for 40 years through the mid-2050s. And couple that with, we just learned that this year that sales tax exemption is worth almost $2 billion. So play that out through the mid-2050s.
Yep. That's one
that is, and no one knew. And the people who did know didn't say anything about it. I mean, literally, it was uncovered that they had these secret contracts, and the state cannot go above and renege on those contracts.
Yeah.
We cannot change the law, right? Until there is an emergency, those contracts are in place. And so it really does change the dynamic of how we think about moving forward. Now, look, what we have said as a caucus very clearly, and what I say all the time, is we can pursue growth. We have to pursue growth if we want more affordable healthcare and better schools and all of those things that we care about. But the growth has to be responsible, right? It can't be growth that costs us our safe drinking water. It can't be growth that costs us our neighborhoods and our communities. It has to be growth that makes those things better. And there is a way to do that. I think Virginia's looking at different impact fees. There's a community in Ohio, New Albany, that is sort of the gold standard for how to do this. They negotiated a fair deal for new data centers. They have transparency. The data center is not contributing to increased energy costs. There's, stuff very clear outlined community benefits. So that's big picture on data centers. In the short term, PJM, which regulates energy markets for this region of the country, has said to every state in its market, you have to create a separate rate class within your state for data centers. Because if you don't, your payers, your customers, the citizens of your state are going to see a huge rate increase this fall.
Yep.
So it's the one thing we had to do before we went on recess before the election. And of course, the majority couldn't get it done, sent us home without doing it. And so now our only path to getting this one thing done to protect Ohio ratepayers is for the governor to do it unilaterally. And so that's what we're calling on him to do.
Another great breakdown of a complicated conversation, but one that we have to keep having. Representative and Minority Leader, one of the things that when you were talking about growth and the things that we need to do, it's hard to have certain types of growth in any state if you're giving away these tax dollars for such a long period of time. I mean, this is where the messages from people like AOC and from Bernie and from so many other, more progressive, moderate, or wherever you are on the scale of being a Democrat, the message is if we're giving away tax dollars for that length of a period of time, it's going to affect growth in all, silos of a state. Is that a fair way of looking at it?
It's just bad policymaking. It's irresponsible. It is. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, the people who sign those contracts won't be alive through the end of those contracts. And so you can argue, and I think we should, and we do, on like the relative value of tax incentives. Is it worth it? Is it bringing in the jobs but we're talking, that should be on a 5-year time frame, maybe a 10-year time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But a 40-year time frame to give away the farm to tech billionaires. Yeah, I agree with you. That is what is fueling a lot of the anger. Because none of us have any sympathy for the billionaires and now the trillionaire.
And it's only getting worse, and the sympathy that might be there is decreasing even more, because you look at this absurd kind of legislation or bills being passed, and you just go, why would we not be upset with them? But you got to be upset with the legislative part of the body, the part of the legislative body that's signing off on this and allowing it to go through. This is where I come back to, we have better ideas. Our ideas don't need to be perfect, but they're better, and they're better for more people, whether it be on a state level or whether it be on a national level. And this is a great example of bad policy by a majority of Republicans who just, for whatever reason, can't work themselves out of this stupid bag that they're in.
And again, it's the Ohioans should be able to say, because of this growth, because of the legislation, we have a new middle school gym, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have new fire trucks in our fire department. The streets are getting paved, right? We have access to childcare in our community that we haven't had access to in a really long time. That is what we've seen, is that the growth, instead of leading to middle school gyms, is leading to gyms in billionaires' backyards, right? They have brand new basketball courts and tennis courts. I mean, it's hard to make this stuff up. Vivek Ramaswamy filmed a video last week of himself talking about all of the tax cuts and giveaways he's going to give to the richest people in the state while hitting tennis balls on his private tennis court.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's what they mean. That's what they mean when they're pursuing growth. It is growth, not for your community to have new tennis courts. It's for them to hit on their backyard tennis court. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, I'm really, really hoping, and I mean this, and this is why I'd be honored to have you back on the show again, that we can continue this conversation about what's needed for Dr. Amy Acton to win. And it's not just her winning, but it's also making sure that you have the legislative power that you need and the tools that are needed to help her get things done in the state, because it's important to you guys, but it's also important to us here in Illinois. One last thing I want to ask you as we wrap up real quickly, and it's been so cool to talk to you this morning. Being an Obama person in terms of your where you cut your teeth, how did it impact you with the opening of the center last Thursday?
A lot of us have had this conversation because on the one hand, all you feel is sort of love and inspiration. And then you think, that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
That's what it's supposed to be. How have we gotten to this place where the first family is giving themselves billions of dollars in mining rights, is placing bets on American foreign policy to enrich themselves, right? How have we gone from the Obamas to this?
Yeah.
Right. And so it is, those moments fill you with pride for what we accomplished, but also they are a reminder. And I think President Obama is, often the one to say this, that like, we are in an unfinished project.
Yeah.
And, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step backwards. And as he said in his final speech, when a lot of us were there in Illinois, in Chicago, as final speech as president, you got to go grab a clipboard. You want to make some change? You got to go grab a clipboard. You got to get out there. You got to talk to your neighbors, and you got to build something different. And I think 2026 is a year where a lot of people are going to do that, especially here in Ohio.
It's been great having you on with us, Minority Leader. And I appreciate you taking the time. Look forward to having you back on the show again. Be safe, and we'll make sure we make that happen. Sound good?
Thanks so much. That sounds great.
All right. We'll be well, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, let's get out of here. The number, of course, you got it, 773-763-9278 is always the place to find us. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And remember to take a deep breath and make your life count. We will see you tomorrow.
Imagine a disease that affects more than 10 million Americans, more than AIDS, Parkinson's, ALS, MS, and muscular dystrophy combined. Yet few know its name. Some years ago, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and after surgery, she developed lymphedema, LE, a cruel and chronic disease affecting 10 million Americans that occurs when the lymphatic system is compromised, leaving one with a lifetime of severe swelling and pain. What we found out later is its severity might have been lessened or possibly even prevented if only we were better informed. That's why I'm urging anyone facing cancer treatment to get educated, talk to your doctor, make it part of your cancer conversation. And if you have LE, share your story. With patients and doctors working together, we can learn and live. Learn more at lymphaticnetwork.org.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. In Venezuela, rescue teams are rushing to areas hit hardest by a pair of powerful earthquakes. At least 164 people have been killed, nearly 1,000 injured, and others are still trapped under the rubble. The 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes struck yesterday evening and damaged the country's main airport, while buildings were evacuated in places as far away as Brazil's Amazon, about 1,000 miles from Venezuela's capital, Caracas. Meanwhile, in Japan, a powerful 7.2 earthquake struck off the northern coast of the country during rush hour this morning, but the country's meteorological agency says there was no danger of a tsunami and no serious injuries were reported. In other news, NATO's chief visited President Trump yesterday at the White House, 2 weeks before the alliance's annual summit. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Magani has more.
Secretary General Mark Rutte is known as the Trump Whisperer for his ability to charm the president, who continues blasting NATO.
The numbers that we spend are so crazy on NATO, and they weren't there for us.
And has threatened to leave the alliance. Rutte's visit comes days after Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth hammered allies in Brussels for not spending enough on defense, saying the U.S. will review its military footprint in Europe. Rutte took it in stride.
What he tried to do today is to keep the pressure on, and I think that's good.
Rutte frequently flatters the president, famously referring to him as Daddy at last year's summit. Sagar Magani, Washington.
Senate Republicans who were berated by Trump over opposition to his war in Iran held a late-night vote yesterday to try to appease the president. They rejected a war powers resolution a day after a similar measure passed. More stories at apnews.com. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Mike Hempen. Mexico has won all 3 World Cup group stage matches for the first time, defeating the Czech Republic 3-0 on Thursday. In other World Cup action, Brazil shut out Scotland 3-0. Bosnia-Herzegovina defeated Qatar 3-1. Switzerland edged Canada 2-1. Morocco doubled Haiti 4-2. And South Africa shut out South Korea 1-0. A historic day for the Cubs' Dansby Swanson. Chicago swept a doubleheader from the Mets. Swanson drove in 11 runs in the 2 games. The 11 RBIs in a doubleheader are a franchise record. Officials say Detroit Lions player Terrion Arnold has been arrested in connection to a kidnapping and robbery in Florida. He's facing felony charges. A source tells the AP the Lakers will re-sign guard Austin Reeves to a 4-year, $185 million deal.
Amazon Business. Unlock smart business buying with fast, free delivery on millions of items and practical AI innovations that automate repetitive tasks. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Michael Caro. For today, some patchy fog to start, otherwise we'll see a blend of clouds and sunshine with high temperatures in the upper 70s. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy, a low of 59. For your Friday, cloud cover, chance for some afternoon showers with lower 70s for high temperatures. Then looking to stay dry for your Saturday, at least some partial sun into the upper 70s. And that's your latest Chicago weather update. Right now it's 68.
Chicago's Progressive Talk WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Find rebates and discounts on energy-efficient products at ComEd.com/home savings.
Taking control. This is Dr. Anna Pellick from Total Dentistry. Most Americans appreciate the freedom and opportunities they have living in the U.S. We thrive on the idea of individual choice and being in control of our own destiny. But how free are we? Healthcare is a huge example of the loss of individual control. The insurance companies dictate what procedures you can or cannot have. They limit your yearly benefits. The maximum allowance for dental care for most companies has been the same for over 50 years. What, I ask you, has stayed the same cost for over 50 years? So where do we start the change? At Total Dentistry, we started our own dental program for the non-insured, the TCP plan. One membership fee, no maximum allowance, no limit on choices. A simple cost solution that gives you control over your dental care. For more information, call us 847-358-2477 or visit totaldentistry.org. Total Dentistry, a general dental practice like no other, now in Streamwood and Palatine.
Party at your place this summer? Fix things up inside and out with July 4th deals, now at Lowe's. Get up to 45% off select major appliances and save up to an additional 25% off when you bundle select major appliances. Plus, save $80 on the select Charbroil Performance Series gas grill, now $299. Our best lineup is here at Lowe's. Valid through 7/8. While supplies last, selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for more details.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Chicago's progressive talk, WCPT.